Welcome to Hope Now, not only weekends, a Hope Church Memphis podcast. Faith for more than just the church building. Real hope lived out right now. Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Hope Now podcast, not only weekends. We have a really special guest with us today. It's not lost on us that Memphis sometimes gets a bad rap, and while we don't want to ignore some of the challenges that our city faces, we also don't want to stop the conversation there, and we want to look at the full picture of all the good that our city has to offer. And so we have with us John Carroll. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, John Carroll is... Man, you've done church planning, city leadership. I'll let you tell us more about what you actually do, but those are just a couple of things.
I just love this now. What is that again?
Not only weekends.
Man, that is clever.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's great. We
We
have some smart people that come up with good things.
Yes, very good. Hey, John, thank you for being here. I know you're a busy man and carving out time to be here.
Anything for you.
To me, personify the best of Memphis.
So kind.
And I'm not just saying that. Even if I didn't like a man, I'd have to give him his compliments. You do personify the best of Memphis. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. Tell us just a little bit about yourself. What brought you to Memphis? I think we have some stuff in common on where we're from. So tell us just where you started, how you got here.
Yeah. I think people are most often surprised to hear that I'm not from Memphis, because they see me care so much about this place. But I'm from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. When I was growing up there, it was Murfreesboro. It wasn't
you have
Murfreesboro. Yeah. It was a small town, and there wasn't anything to do, and and nobody grew up dreaming to live in Nashville or really anywhere in Tennessee. It was, there wasn't really anything, just amazing about the kind of space in the world, but we grew up with great community, but kind of bored to death, and so went off to college, came back, lived in Nashville for a couple of years, then moved to Dallas for 5 years, and really thought I found a big city that it would have everything I wanted, and I thought it really did. It had every sport, ballet, shows, concerts, all that kind of stuff. But man, it was lacking community. Mm-hmm. You were never alone, but always lonely. Never at the same place with the same person. Mm-hmm. Just from the grocery store to the game to the church to the whatever. It was just you never bumped into the same person, mm-hmm. twice ever. Mm-hmm. And so you had everything to do, but it felt like nobody to really enjoy that with. And so, but I moved to Memphis to start a company because I was a part of a group in Texas that dreamed about planting a church somewhere, and that somewhere ended up being Memphis. And so 27 of us moved here to be a part of that church plant. I got involved in the business world as part of that, kind of tent making, so to speak, and just haphazardly fell in love with Memphis. I didn't move here because anything was bad about Memphis or anything was good about Memphis. It was just where our church leaders were really kind of focusing on planting. And so I thought we'd live here for a year, maybe two, but we fell absolutely in love with this place and have been here 22 years. And we fell in love with it because it had all the big city amenities that we wanted, but it really had real community. And I'd say, you go to the coffee shop, you see people And I always say, you're in a good city if you can have a great cup of coffee, but it's always cold because people keep walking in that you want to talk to.
So good.
Or you go to a Grizzlies game, you got to keep your head down because, if I run into Rufus or somebody else I know or whatever, I'm going to miss the tip, maybe the first quarter, because I want to talk to you. I want to say, oh my gosh, what's going on? And it's not like you hadn't seen them forever. It's just like there's so much to catch up. There's so much richness in the relationships. And that's a big city with a hometown feel. And that's what fits me. That's maybe not what everybody else wants, but that's what I want. And I found it in Memphis.
Awesome. And you're married and have kids here?
Yeah, I'm married to Haley. She's unbelievable. She's from Bartlett. And then we have 6 kids. So 21 to 10, 3 adopted. They're incredible, awesome humans. And so we're really, really fortunate. And we live in Midtown. So.
Great. Me too. Mm-hmm. Love that. Love Midtown. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you church planned for a while, and then you started something called City Leadership. Can you tell us about what that is and how that came about?
Yeah. So I was involved with Fellowship Memphis and was serving there, but I had started a company, a for-profit company called May Designs. You may not have ever heard of it, but we made everything here. We had a corporate office in Austin, another office in New York, and so I was kind of around the country a lot, but we wanted to give back and wanted to make an impact in our community. And honestly, I didn't even know what a nonprofit was. I wasn't like I wasn't like, I didn't know what they understand the terms were. I knew what a homeless shelter was, or I knew what an after-school program was, but nonprofit didn't make any sense to me. I was like, what do you mean nonprofit? Like whatever. And so, like, a charity, part of a church, kind of whatever. And being a church guy, I was always like, oh, well, you got to get told. I don't know if you ever got told this kind of stuff. It's like, well, the only reason nonprofits exist is when the church isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, right?
Many times, yeah.
And so I was kind of like, okay, well, what is all this kind of stuff? And what I realized is it was all these organizations that were, part of a tax identification with our community, but a lot of them were just ran by fellow believers, people I went to church with, that kind of stuff, and they were needing help. They needed help doing things, and a lot of times they were ran by really awesome people who were making a big difference, but they didn't have either the business skills on their staff, or it didn't make sense for them to hire business skills that they had to pay for all the time that they needed for just a singular project. And so that's where we came with the idea. It was like, what if we could help the good guys do more good? What if we could help bring business principles, business solutions, business kind of stuff, and be able to do that kind of stuff. And so instead of giving nonprofits money, we started hiring full-time people to give nonprofits the things that they needed. And then we would do that at scale. So websites, video, photography, business deals, contracts, all that kind of stuff, helping buy buildings, all whatever. And so that's really how City Leadership started. It was an offshoot out of kind of my generosity, fellowship, different kind of stuff. And it was a way we were to give back into this space. And so we started putting money into that. And then by 2016, I had twice as many people at the nonprofit that I did at my for-profit. Right.
Wow.
And I started getting the call like, hey, which, where are you putting your butt? Which saddle? You know what I'm saying? And so, and I just loved the nonprofit work, the giving back so much that sold the company, and I've been full-time employee ever since 2017. So just giving back in our community.
What you did and are doing represents a philanthropic shift. The older generation, nonprofits, once somebody kind of gave them the good housekeeping seal, they would write checks.
Right.
Once a year, annually, go visit, review reports. But the next generation of philanthropists were interested in the business term, or ROI.
Right.
Now, I don't think it's necessarily a fair comparison, but they want to know, are you really making an impact, either place-based or otherwise?
Yes.
And so you providing, because a lot of people who run nonprofits, obviously they have a heart of compassion but not a head for business, and
Right.
you got to mix both.
Well, and one of the things that we say, Pastor Rufus, is we because whatever city you're in, you've got to speak the language of the people that are there. And then when you're raising dollars, you've got to speak the language of the people who have the money,
Yes.
right? And in Memphis, we have such a big financial community, right? A lot of bonds traded, a lot of financial institutions, a lot of banking stuff, all with the FedEx kind of deal that all kind of led all that here. And so a lot of people look at ROI. They look at spreadsheets all the time, and they're thinking, if I put this much money here, how much money am I going to get back? So we actually use a term in our office that I may have come up with, I'm not quite sure, whatever, but we call it ROG. So we call it return on generosity. And we talk about investing into that kind of impact. And we really look at it and go, man, if you invest your dollars here, and we think about it as kind of like, because no one person has enough money to change all the things that need to happen. Maybe one person has enough to do everything we're trying to do, but nobody's paying for everything that we're trying to do. So it's kind of like you're investing in a mutual fund that has this kind of growth and this kind of impact in this kind of space. And so we look at it and go, hey, if you invest here, this is the kind of impact that could happen over time and how this kind of stuff could happen. And so we try to create charts, plans, vocabulary, all that kind of stuff. We take the ROI, playbook, and we put it into the generosity terminology. Now, the big hard problem that we have as a nonprofit is everything we do costs money and nothing creates money.
That's right.
And so, and what's interesting about nonprofits is you'll hear a lot of nonprofits that kind of get to this kind of $2 million ceiling. They say getting this kind of $2 million, maybe up to $5 million, but this $2 to $3 million, it's really hard to get over that hump because it's hard to have enough donors that can give you enough dollars. and to be able to get into that next space. And so they hit these ceilings into this kind of deal because everything you do costs money. And honestly, the better we are at our job, the more money it costs every year. So, and that's a real complex. I can go way down that rabbit hole and take up the whole podcast just on how investing in nonprofits matters and how we should strategically do it as a community. But it's a really hard thing that is something that we've got to be really on the front end and aware of, because it really caps the impact that our really the Big C church, not just Hope Church, is making on our community through our nonprofits.
I love that term, ROG. Say it again.
ROG, return on generosity.
Now I remember when I made that up. Yeah, from this point on, it's going to be mine.
Great. Take it with it. Run with it. Because I think people need to think about that, is that they are investing for the future. And one of the things that's different about city leadership, and not that other nonprofits aren't great, most nonprofits, the way that you go and experience them, are designed to serve an immediate need.
Yes.
The homeless shelter is designed to serve people who are going to be sleeping outside tonight. And if they have enough beds and they have meals and showers, that they don't have to sleep outside tonight. And then tomorrow they're going to let them back outside. And then if they have $6 and they can come back and they can sleep. And so you're paying for and investing in to help serve the people who would sleep outside tonight. You're not actually investing in solving homelessness or solving poverty or all sorts of other different kind of things. At City Leadership, we call ourselves, we're a solving nonprofit. And what we do is we actually help organizations that are serving catalyze towards a specific effort and look to figure out, like, who in this group of people has the highest potential of solving their need, right, to go from being somebody who's needing to honestly giving the dignity of the option to where they have the choice to be able to become a giver.
Correct.
Right? And that's what Christ has given us, the calling to love our neighbor the way he's loved us. And I think part of us creating heaven on earth is helping our neighbors have the resources, education, the vision, the mentorship to be able to have that option to live that out and to be able to give whatever that's time, money, encouragement, health, whatever that is. And that's the justice that we create, is giving people the option to be in the image of Christ.
That what you just said, the justice, it is a justice
It's
issue.
a justice issue.
Overall.
Yeah.
And again, it's this next tier, and it's generational, moving from aid, which is good, mercy, to empowerment.
Empower. Yeah.
And city leadership definitely is an empowerment nonprofit, because you do eventually need to solve the problem.
We say, I think I stole this from Andy Stanley, and so, but most people around here would probably say it's mine because I say it so much.
Well, he stole something from you that he's
Yeah. We're all just shifting stuff around. So Andy probably got it from somebody else, but we say, we do for some what we wish we could do for all, and that's honestly it. And we don't allow, fairness or equality of, like, the illustration we give all the time is that we got one jar of peanut butter and 100 loaves of bread. If you try to spread that peanut butter over everything, you're going to have some bread that might smell a little bit like peanut butter, but nobody's having a peanut butter sandwich. But if we can take care of one loaf, then we got 99 loaves left. Now let's go get some more peanut butter, and we see, look how good these sandwiches are. Who's willing to help us bring some more peanut butter to the situation, right? And I think that's what happened, when we ended up with loaves and loaves of extra fishes and bread, is because people started seeing people give, and they're like, man, let's all be a part of this, right? And
So city leadership, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this umbrella, and then you've got these 4 or 5 other little
campaigns.
Campaigns. So explain to us, like, Choose 901, Serve 901. What are those, and how do they fit within city leadership?
So City Leadership is the only nonprofit. We have a lot of campaigns that people think are organizations, but they're strategies. They are ways for people to understand as marketing.
I just learned that Choose 901 was under City Leadership.
I
thought it was its own.
Yeah, and that's what you're supposed to. That's the way you're supposed to get. So think from a business perspective, we would say is that a lot of people don't think about Procter and Gamble, right? But they use products like Tide and Gain, right? Yeah. And you see commercials for Tide and Gain. You don't see commercials for Procter and Gamble, but people buy Procter and Gamble stock, right? Because Tide and Gain are these great products that have this great market share. So city leadership works more like a Procter & Gamble. And we have these products, campaigns, marketing efforts that are collaborations a lot between a lot of other nonprofits. So yeah, I started Choose 901, but Choose 901 is a strategic campaign that is really started as a assimilation of a dozen nonprofits that were recruiting and retaining college graduates to do these 1 to 4 year programs. And when they were our clients that we were making their websites for, what we saw is that they either didn't have enough quantity or quality of applications to fill their programs, and they'd raised all the money to have all 60 people at MTR. Yeah. They had 300 applications, but only 30 were qualified. Yeah. Or at Church Health Center, they had 20 funded spots, but they only had 13 applications. They accepted 11, and 9 people showed up. Well, then you miss all these college grads moving to town. And in 2011, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, man, over the next 10 years, we're going to miss out on like 3,000 college grads moving to town. That's a huge economic development situation. Yeah. And the funding's already there. They just need it. So instead of creating 11 marketing campaigns, I was like, why don't we create one? And really what we did with Choose 901 is we answered the question for the people who were looking for it. College students already know by their sophomore, junior, definitely senior year that they want to dedicate the next season of their life to education or social work or healthcare or whatever. They just need to know where they can do that. And then once they find out where, their number one question is, okay, now I can go invest my life there. Will I enjoy it? Yeah. And that's why our whole campaign is Choose 901, invest and enjoy. Come here, make a difference in someone's life, and have a blast while you do it. Yeah. We believe that there's other places that are actually, most of the world, people don't think this, or let me say this, a lot of people, definitely in the suburbs around Memphis don't think this, but most of the world, like 85% of the world is way worse off than the poorest person in Memphis, right? Like the world is a very complex place. Yeah. So there's a lot of other places where you could go invest and actually make a bigger difference. Let's just start with Calcutta, right? You know what I'm saying? And there are other places that you might think that you'd more naturally enjoy, and almost every one of those places have two things we don't have, either an ocean or mountains. Those places are assumed to be enjoyed. And so we had to communicate the story of, here's how you can invest your life. You want to make a difference. And here's how you're going to enjoy it while you're here. And you're just connecting those dots, knowing the things that I didn't know about Memphis before I moved here. I didn't know all the great things about it. And I was like, let's just put those out there. And then we told those stories to the people who are investing. And that created that. And then that led to people asking us to do the same for teachers. So we created Teach 901. Before all that, while I owned a company, I started hosting service projects in town to do service trips called Memphis Service Experiences. And so we've now had over 20,000 college students come since 2005 and do an alternative spring break or summer trip and give back into the community. And so Serve 901, we've got a 114-person bunkhouse in Midtown. Wow. It's really, really awesome. That's really cool. And then Give 901 is our community giving campaign. A lot of people who've come part of our stuff, they've gotten older now, they want to keep giving back. And so we challenge everybody to give 1 hour of time and 1 hour of pay. Can you imagine if 1 million people in our area and it's equal, right, to everybody. Our time's equal. So if we all volunteered 1 hour, people can volunteer more than that. A lot of people do. But I'm like, if we all just volunteered at least 1 hour strategically, and if we all gave 1 hour of pay. So like if I make $15 an hour sweeping the warehouse, give $15 a month, right? If somebody else makes $42 an hour as a senior accountant, give $42. You can give whatever you want. But now we're all giving the same. Instead of everybody, we all give $20. $20 is different for me and you and you and all of y'all. You know what I'm saying? But if we all just give 1 hour of pay, right? And it's not meant to be all your generosity. It's saying, well, what if you gave 1 hour into the positivity and trying to make a difference here? And then our Choose 901 alumni is my most favorite campaign. What we do is we take 6 schools. Everybody graduates from that school, whether it's the valedictorian that's a full ride scholarship to MIT to the almost didn't graduate. We take those 450 students for the next 10 years. We help them get their college degrees or their education, and we help recruit them back to Memphis. 85% of them are coming out of poverty. And we've got now 3,446 Choose 901 alumni. Wow. We'll have over 5,000 by 2030. And if we stay on pace to what we're doing, by 2035, this group of people will lower the poverty rate in Memphis from 24% to 20% alone. It's the only thing in the city that is strategically stepping towards lowering our poverty rate since 1970. And it only cost me, I know that it sounds like a lot, but it only cost me about $1 million a year to run. And you'd be crazy to hear how hard it is to fund the thing. It is so hard to get people to do it. And I'm like, guys, this is like billions of dollars in tax paying that either is you're going to pay. So I'll say this, the average adult who has no kids, no major healthcare stuff, the poor person with no major issues, never been arrested, never whatever, over their lifetime is about $1.5 million of city and county welfare dollars, right? If you and that's if they never had a kid, never went to the doctor, never went to jail, never went to whatever. Like that's just if you're just poor, right? If you just move to the working class, right? Like just the working class, not even counting if you come whatever, you start contributing close to $1 million in taxes.
Yeah.
Every person you flip like that is a $2.5 million flip. People are like, how do we afford this city? We just flip the people who don't want to be in poverty into the working class. Or we spend all this money on education, we got to make sure they come back here. And that's what we're doing with Choose One Alumni. We need to do that with a lot of places. But again, we do for some what we wish we could do for all. You know?
So it sounds like you really know all the good that's going on in the city, or you're a part of the good that's
well,
going
I get to
on
put
in
a
the
spotlight
city.
and a megaphone on it. Honestly,
great.
I've just put myself close to everybody who's doing all these good things, and we just try to tell people about everybody. Everybody's like, I love everything you're doing. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just telling you about what everybody else is doing. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the cool thing.
What you put your focus on really gets highlighted the most. Like you seek it and you find if you want to talk and look for the bad, well, that's what
you are your own algorithm.
Yeah.
Whether that's social media or what you're watching on TV or who you're hanging out with, you create your own algorithm. And if you feel like everything you're hearing is bad, then I would challenge you. You need to change your algorithm, and you need to go because there is so much good happening. I appreciate you guys putting a spotlight and a megaphone on it as well.
So you used the term catalyze before.
Yes, sir.
Key term, because there are so many nonprofits and churches. The problem is, as you know, we work in silos. And so the multitude of scale is too low because of that.
Right.
Rate of change too slow. But what I love about what you're doing is you're trying to catalyze and give some thought to if we did this, then we could have this kind of impact. Kind of 1 + 1 can equal 10.
Yeah, well, 5 + 5 is 10, or 5 × 5 is 25. And
That's
I'm
right.
like, hey, the catalyzation is when we can turn that, plus to an X and see what's possible. And I think the other thing is, and this is something that I think really, really matters right now that I've been trying to push really hard. I'm just speaking at a chamber event last week, but we need a sense of urgency.
Yes.
This is not a, let me think of and honestly, I think we need more entrepreneurialism. And I think we need it from not just our business leaders, but we need it from our faith leaders. We need it really from our government leaders because a lot of them are all working on, kind of slowly plotting their kind of ways or whatever. But I'm just more like, hey, we need to get going and then we need to actually figure it out a little more on the way because people are so worried that they're going to make a mistake along the way. And I think we're making a lot more mistakes by not doing anything, trying to plan a perfect, because if you've ever started anything in your life that as soon as you start it, you're like, well, these 6 things that we thought were going to happen didn't happen, right? It's like you figure it out along the way. Now, listen, you have good intentions. We're not just going blindly and into this kind of stuff. But I think, if anything, we need to be recklessly loving forward with a very intent purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean that in the sense of like, it's okay. They're not reckless. You get what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying? But like, we just need to be aggressive and we need to move forward with it as fast as possible because people don't get another chance to do it in childhood. People don't get another chance to do their 20s. People don't get another chance to not be arrested. People don't get another chance to, and here's the thing. I want to say this real quick. I know I'm talking too long, but we were talking. This is a justice issue for our have-nots, right? Our 24.6% of our community that have nots. But this is a life-living issue for our haves. I tell people all the time, I'm not saving people from poverty. I'm trying to help the justice stuff. I'm saving you from the criticizing and consumption lifestyle of sitting at home, judging everybody else, watching Netflix with your food delivery, with your 8-foot fences, and not getting out there and loving somebody. Like I believe there's actually tens of thousands of households around here that have this pent up desire, that almost like guilt, that they know they want to make a bigger difference someplace, but they don't know what to do next. They don't know how to give. And we've got to meet them in that moment before they wake up at 60, 70, 80 years old with a life of regret, of self-focus. And that scares me to death, right? Because I think that creates apathy, and that just creates more disconnect, because then they don't want to admit at 70 or 80, I didn't do what was best of my life. And then they have to justify that because there's guilt and all sorts of pieces that we've got to enter that early. And so I know that with 20-somethings, we go after that because we're like, your whole life's ahead of you. But I think we actually need to go save our 40-somethings. We need to go save our 50-somethings. And I don't think it's not you have to convince them. We've got to guide them. We don't need to persuade them to make a difference. They just need to know, all right, here's where we go. And we got to meet them where they're at. Some people are more adventurous than others. Some people are more cautious. Some people more whatever. But we got to go like, hey, we got to be more demanding. We got to get them out there and do exactly what y'all are saying. Not just be about the weekends. This has got to be a 24/7 lifestyle thing, and then realize how much fun it is. The biggest issue as they do that is not realize that they're still human. They're not meant to save everyone's life.
That's right.
They're just meant to help somebody. That's Jesus didn't model to us how to disciple everyone in the world. He modeled to us how to disciple 12 people.
Right.
So what if everybody just said, hey, over the rest of my life, I want to help invest in 12 people.
That's right.
It would change everything. The whole world would change if the church would say, I got 12 between now and the grave. God, give me 12 between now and the grave.
Yeah.
Just give me 12. I just want to, if I'm going to be like Jesus, give me 12 people. And just know that I don't have to bat 1,000 because he didn't either.
You know what Dr. King said changed the movement is when he got the attention of the silent majority. That did it.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about, because that's where most people are. Interesting you use the word urgent. I was doing a meeting, and it just haunts me to this day, about 4 years ago in North Memphis. You know, you get people together and try to survey what's going on and so forth. Great ideas, and you know we want to back them because we have a oasis of hope out there. And we're just trying to put our finger on the pulse of
where I got my refrigerator.
What people need. Yeah, well, you got your refrigerator, and I did too, and it lasted me 10 years. Yeah. But as we were ending, and I was about to close in prayer, had a single mom, 3 people working 1.5 jobs, a full-time job and a part-time. And she said, Pastor Smith, I don't mean no harm. I know you love, Hope loves, North Memphis, we appreciate all of that. She said, but you said we'll meet next month and continue talking, kind of this. She said, I know it's important to you, but it's urgent for us. Don't forget about us. It's that sense of, yeah, it is important, but we got the luxury of saying, well, next month we'll meet again, we'll form this committee. She said, in the meantime, though, it's important to you, but it's urgent for us. Don't forget about us. Yeah. That is what you're doing. You're moving with a sense of urgency. A crisis often creates that, and I think to some degree, the crisis that we are experiencing has frightened people. And has caused people to say, well, we need to move with some sense of urgency.
Thanks for listening to Hope Now. Hope for more than just weekends. Join us next week for a new episode. Connect, share, and worship with Hope Church on social media platforms at Hope for Memphis or at hopechurchmemphis.com.